Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today we have the last video in our wishlisting series for all the armies for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and we are looking at the Disciples of Tzeentch today. This series is all just a bunch of fun, shouting out some wants and needs in the future that I personally would like to see from this army in particular, and well, the armies over the whole series in general. Today we are, as mentioned, going to be looking at the Disciples of Tzeentch, and this is 10 things I'd like to see from Disciples of Tzeentch. So, for me, I think the one biggest thing for Tzeentch that becomes an issue is not just only on the table, but the purchasing things you have to do to be able to take Horrors of Tzeentch is rather frustrating. I want to play Horrors of Tzeentch, but I really don't like that I have to buy 3 boxes to simply build 10 pink horrors. I think a great way we could actually change how this kit is built is potentially dropping the unit size of horrors down to 5. This would all help not only with purchasing, but with potential power issues on the table themselves. Imagine if you were only purchasing 5 horrors for those points, and so those 5 horrors then split into 10 blues and split into 10 brimstone. Now, what you could do with this is, because you've now only got 25 models, we could have them in a single box. You could in fact also make the blue horrors stay on the same base, so 2 blue horrors are on the same base, and then they split off into 2 brimstones. This would lower the model count in the box as well, so you get 5 pink horrors, 5 blue horror bases, and then you can have 10 individual brimstones for every wound inflicted on the blues potentially. It's an option, but I think probably the best way to do it is keep it as a 25 model box and have 5 pinks, 10 blues, 10 horrors, 10 brimstone horrors. It would clean up probably the biggest issue with Tzeentch, maybe potentially clean up power wise as well as obviously purchase wise. For me, that's a big issue with Tzeentch. Point number 2, I want to see the Lord of Change, his casting ability, go up. He's supposed to be the chaos god of magics, like favored demon, and he just doesn't do enough magically for me. I know he's got some really cool abilities, but I want to see some more casts on this model, some more casting benefits innately in the model, and really make this model a powerhouse of the hero phase and magic within it especially. Point 3, an enlightened on foot box. So currently, to get enlightened on foot, you have to buy the Enlightened and Skyfire mix box and then not use the discs. I think we could do this much better and potentially make Enlightened on foot a whole different unit if we went, say, a 5 or 10 man box of Enlightened on foot. You could also potentially build Skyfires on foot with the same kit and just do the same kit, but maybe more models, no discs in there, so we're not wasting plastic making discs that aren't going to get used. And speaking of discs, I would like to see an elite Kharak Acolyte unit on discs. Imagine some cool Kharak Acolytes whirling around on discs, and give me some mortal, non-bestial follows of Tzeentch on discs. Be really cool. You have them zooming around with the new Magister on disc. I think this would just be a great look for an army. Point number 5, new Flamers. It's no mistake, and so many people are of the same opinion, that the Flamers just do, like, I get that Tzeentch is supposed to be these gibbering masses of ever-changing flesh and weirdness, but the Flamers for me just don't look like that. I think the horrors, and especially you can see in the picture here, the horrors really go for that sort of look, but the Flamers just don't look right to me. There's something about them, the models, I'm not a big fan of, and I'd really like to see an update to maybe just looking like a bigger horror, maybe with some fiery elements and a bit more almost to that comical look that horrors do have to them, which is great. That sort of minion-esque look that we've got, that little bit comical but still really scary, and you can imagine how they're so ferocious on the battlefield. Point number 6, something new monster-wise for Tzeentch, a big new tentacle-like beast. I don't know whether this is maybe like a big screamer sort of monster, and I know we've got the Mutalith Vortex beast, but it doesn't sort of do it for me with Tzeentch. I think a new giant beast of some sort, maybe some sort of like warp hole in its belly or its mouth or something, and it's a giant screamer, and maybe, there we go, maybe a giant screamer and its underbelly is a giant warp hole, and it flies above things and sort of sucks them in with its warp hole. Would be a really cool thing to add. I just think Tzeentch need that bigger demon sort of thing, just to give them that alternate sort of thing they can have, instead of a Lord of Change being really the only centerpiece model you've got in this whole army. Now, normally with all these Chaos ones, I've sort of said give us the Beastman Lear, but Tzeentch already have Zangor. They're the only one that has the sort of God-marked beast. And so what I want from Tzeentch in the future is, well, let's push that further. Let's get us more God-marked beasts. Let's add to this. Let's get some, Zangor are effectively Bestigor, so let's get things like maybe some Tzeentch-marked Bulgor, or some Tzeentch-marked Dragon Ogres, or something like that. Maybe even Tzeentch Ungor going the other way, or Tzeentch Chariots with Beastmen on them. It'd be a really cool sort of thing to push into, because the Zangor are such fantastic models. I really think that whole aesthetic could be fleshed out to a full army option, and made to be really cool. Now for me, point number 8 here is definitely more endless spells for Tzeentch. I think 3 endless spells is cool for most armies, but once again, like the Lord of Change, this is the magic army of Chaos. I feel like these guys should have so many endless spell options that are just unique to them, to give them their whole own toolkit of endless spells. I'm talking like maybe we even have 9 endless spells for Tzeentch to match up with his favourite number. I really hope I've got that favourite number right, because it's going to look terrible if I've got it wrong, but you get what I'm saying. A massive endless spells and the ability to go with them. I really think Tzeentch should have that magical potential within the Force. Talking of big centerpieces as we were before, what if we saw something like Goruk, the Chaos Dragon, brought into Tzeentch, because he was always sort of Tzeentch affiliated in Warhammer Fantasy with his split 2 heads and stuff like that. I really think it'd be quite cool to see that model brought back and reimagined in Age of Sigmar. You can make it huge, amazing and fantastic, and just such a great model. And not only that, but the narrative would be able to be drawn as well, because let's not forget who Goruk the Great Drake was in Warhammer Fantasy. But my last point that I want to bring up for Tzeentch is, let's push this envelope. We've got these weird beasts, and we've got weird cool things in the way of like screamers and discs, and we all know the lore that goes in how a screamer sort of gets bound and turned into a disc. But I'd like to see more weird monsters for Tzeentch characters to ride. Maybe some like weird avian Volshark, larger Volshark, or even just a Volshark with characters, or other sort of cool looking beasts, like a weird Tzeentchian horse or something like that. I really think these weird and wacky things could have a great part to play in a Tzeentch force, and just making it look that crazy sort of odd thing that Tzeentch is. But anyway, that's 10 things I'd like to see from Disciples of Tzeentch. I'd really like to know what you all would like to see from the Disciples of Tzeentch in the future. And if you've got any thoughts or ideas, or you've got any thoughts or ideas on the points I made, please leave them down in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really amazing that we're going to have finished this series now, and we started this series with barely over 500 subscribers on the channel, and we're going to finish with well over 1,000 now. Thank you to everyone who's been supporting the channel. You guys have been utterly fantastic, and I can't wait to keep doing cool little videos and just chat with all of you about more Warhammer Age of Sigmar and more Warhammer in general. Thanks again, everyone, for supporting the channel. You guys are all amazing. I'll see you all again real soon. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey.